Hello, everyone. My name is Zach. I am with the Hard Truth podcast. We are a new formed podcast that will be coming up real shortly here in the next couple of weeks. This is just an intro video to kind of let me get my feet wet and kind of give you guys a heads in to what to expect from us, what you will be hearing about, who you will be hearing from, etc., etc. So, first and foremost, what is the Hard Truth Podcast? Well, the Hard Truth Podcast it's really the brainchild of myself, where I put a lot of deep thought into being in the construction field for many years and building my career around the people in the field, the tradesmen that actually perform these tasks. I've been in the field, but I am no longer in the field. I currently am over helping with safety. I am a safety professional. I've been doing it for right at, I don't know, somewhere between 5 to 10 years professionally between general industry and construction. However, construction is where my passion lies with people. One thing that I will say that my co-host that's not with us today, but she will be on future episodes, is that we wanted to build a culture around our department that was people oriented. Right? You can look up all the standards and all that that you have to have for jobs and all that. I get all that, but what really builds the job, what keeps a job safe, and that is the people. One thing we really focus on is accountability culture, and for us that's always been the guys and the ladies in the field that perform the work, that are really good at their trade. I've seen it firsthand, and we always wanted to promote them and be there to support them. We have never been the two that would come to a job and want to hold you up or hem you up on anything. We were more or less a voice of reason to listen to, whether it be frustrations, whether it be positives. We prefer positives, but the reality of it is not every job goes like you plan it, or the people that you have on the job site necessarily affect what you really want it to be. So we really focus in on the accountability culture and the overall health of a job site, which is the people. Not to say, that I don't have a job to do or that she doesn't have a job to do, but, the people that we represent, that we work with, they understand that, if we call something out, there's a reason behind it. It's not to, in terms that we use in our industry, is bird dogging. We don't do that. I'm not going to stand over you. This is a grown man's job. This is a grown woman's job. You are fully capable of understanding and doing your jobs. I've seen it. And if you have new people that come on the job, that's um, that's a growing experience. That's something you've got to teach. Is everybody going to get it? No. And to be honest with you, just like the podcast states, that's the hard truth. But we really focus on growth and developing real positive cultures. I know we see these funny snippets on TikTok and different things like that. And you know what? They're sent to me all the time. And personally, as a safety professional, I think they're hilarious because there's nothing more accurate, right? And this isn't coming from, my direct coworkers. This is coming from guys in the field that normally, they don't want anything to do with safety. These guys know that my phone's open all the time. We talk about everything from their family life to, health issues to what's going on with the job site. And, we just want to be there for them. And our culture that we are surrounded ourselves with, the guys understand that, right? Like if they call me, they call me and they really want my opinion about the matter. It's not to redirect or avoid any kind of trouble, I guess we'll say, in lack of better terms, but it does give them a positive feedback. I'm going to be honest with them, right? If I think that's not the way they need to go, then I'm going to tell them that, right? And what they do with it from there, that's their decision. I'm not one to tell them how to do their job. I'm not going to do that. They are fully capable and really good at it. I've seen a really good set of hands out there that across multiple states that do a really good job. So what you will be experiencing on this podcast, the plans are, for the first couple episodes, you'll hear me and Janet talk about different aspects of how we go about things and how Janet and I have always, for the past almost 5 years, have played off each other to build the product that we have out there. And then you will also hear later on, we'll have interviews with, guys that are on tools. You'll hear from new hires. You'll hear from the aspect of a new hire to a tradesman to a supervisor, a superintendent, ops managers, executive teams. That is the plan, right? I want you guys to be able to understand and hear from all these different levels of management or guys in the field, so that when you listen to these podcasts, that you can hopefully influence your culture out there. I may never meet you. I'd love to. We would love that opportunity to meet a whole plethora of people that are in this industry, and not just who we're directly associated with. But you guys know how it is in the field. You work for this contractor, you work for this contractor, or whatever. Um, Everybody pretty much runs into everybody at some point, or they worked with them in the past, or if you're on the road guy and you may come back home, work at home for a little bit to stay closer to the house, and you run into that same guy you worked with 3 states over like 3 years ago. We see that all the time. And wonderful people, man. You meet some fantastic people in this industry. Some of the best people that I've ever met in my life, I have met and made friendships and work relationships with through this work. And it's been phenomenal that, it's helped build my career. And that's from the top down. I know who we're associated with, that I can go to an executive and have a full blown conversation and it's a priority, right? Let's be real. A lot of companies, they talk about safety and safety and safety and all that, and they want what's best for you, but they show a different standard to that, right? They don't, it's not placed out there. It may be their main priority, but you're not seeing it, right? So that leads to animosity. That leads to, well, they don't care about me. We've all heard the stories, and I've had close conversations with people, even on our side. I'm gonna keep it 100% on this podcast, and that's for everybody to learn, right? Y'all may get on the message board or send me an email or send Janet and myself an email and say, hey, what do y'all think about this? We would love to be able to take the time to pick your brains. You may be able to teach us some things that we've missed or we're not doing to help us grow, and vice versa. I know technology is a big thing now in construction, from management systems and different tools and things like that. Everybody's got programs and all contributions for making the job site easier, more accessible. It's out there. I don't think anybody nowadays has a flip phone. They might, but the overall aspect of what we want to get across is, you're not alone. We've had many conversations that have taken place in our office, guys just concerns, or, hey man, this went great, this job, blah, blah, blah. They may do the same job, same task on a different job site. Well, it didn't go nowhere near as good as the last job. And they come in and, this is what this platform is for you guys out there to understand and go, you know what, we did hear that, right? We dealt with that same situation. It's almost like sending out what we consider a near miss. You have something that nobody was necessarily hurt, or no damage or anything like that, but you had a close call, so to speak, right? So you send that out, and you send it to everybody in your company, and you talk about it, right? And that's the whole point, is somebody to read that. If it only affects one person, but they read it, right, to their group, a supervisor gets it and goes, man, we kind of dealt with that same thing yesterday. We can make corrections because we see what this other group did, however you want to phrase it. So that's what you'll be getting. And hopefully we can grow this. I know we have talked, my co-creator with this has talked about, what if this is a culture changing shift for construction in general? I know the work. I've done it. It's not easy, right? Not everybody does it. If it was that easy, then everybody would do it. But it takes a certain type of man, and it takes a certain type of woman to have longevity in this line of work. And we're going to talk about a plethora of different topics, and there may be some in there that you're like, oh my God, he said he wasn't going to talk about this and that, but it's really going to be hard for us not to cover some aspects of standards and, some safety manual type stuff that every company has to possess, from fall protection, 385, trenching and digging, electrical safety, mechanical, structural, etc. Right? So the plan moving forward will be at minimal to get you an episode once a month. We all know how this industry is. It's really demanding, especially when you're on a job. It's hard to kind of step away. It's hard to make time to do it. But we're going to try our best to get that done. But I hope everybody enjoys it. Please get on all your social medias. We're on Instagram at _Hard Truth Podcast on Instagram. We're on TikTok, the Hard Truth Podcast, the Hard Truth Podcast on TikTok. And then, of course, you'll have it on Spotify if you want to listen at any point during your day. If you're, an office clerk, that's something I failed to mention is that, you got these ladies that are in the office that they have a part in this too, right? They set up the jobs. They're dealing with the numbers and all this for project managers. They have stresses too to make sure you guys get work. I mean, it takes everybody. I would love to get people that are in assets or they're in development, business development. I mean, everybody that you may have a fracture of in your company, we're going to try to do the best we can to get you from our side with contacts that we know to get their voices and their opinions on this podcast. It won't be just us because that's where it matters. It's not we don't take credit for what we do. We're only successful based off what people in the field have done and what they've learned or failure is a lane to learn from. And everybody fails. It's just part of it. And you want to have more success than you do failure. But if you can take a failure and make a success out of it, then nobody remembers the failure. They only remember the success. And that is part of the accountability culture. So moving forward, you will hear this. I hope that this really takes off. I hope it really hits you and you get a lot of information out there and you're able to pass it on to your people. We're not doing this for a monetary value. This is not associated with anything but the people, right? And we really have a passion for caring, and we want you guys to be successful and ladies on these jobs, and that's the gist of it. And we'll have fun with it. We'll talk about all kind of stuff. I mean, anything from sports to what you guys like to do on the weekends, what you're doing on the job sites that you're at. You may want to talk about the location you're on. That people may be going to. They may hear it on this podcast, which would be great. So they have a kind of a window and an understanding. Okay, I need to not take my camper there, or don't go eat there. But it'll be a lot of fun. I assure you. This is a little bit more serious as far from my standpoint. But we do like to keep it light and open, and you'll get to experience how we really are around people. And we want you guys to take that and further your companies and your culture with your people across the nation, across the world. I don't care, as long as it gets out there, right? There's a saying out there: when the pain to stay the same, when the pain to change is greater than the pain to stay the same, then that's when things happen. So if you can get out in front of it and stay in front of it, then you know where your next move is going to be. You can't always chase, right? Because then you're just playing catch up. You're not winning any race. But that's the hard truth about it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it's real short. I think it's only like 16 minutes I'm running on. But this is just an intro. Please take care. If you're out there in the cold weather, it's cold right now. Stay warm, stay bundled up, some layers. That way, if it does get hot, you kind of shed them layers a little bit. Wasn't going to get into safety, but here I am doing it. And we hope to be a voice for you moving forward, and we'd love to hear from you. So go check out that Instagram again. Go check out that TikTok page. We'll be adding pictures and some short videos and stuff like that. And check us out on Spotify as well. Right? You'll be able to catch them there. Eventually, we will branch off, into other platforms that will be readily available across multi. So you should be able to get it no matter where you're at. And take advantage of it. Take advantage of the information you're given. I know we take every information that we get and we comb through it and we look at it. So we just want to be an ear. I do appreciate everybody listening today. And always remember, it's the hard truth that gets you through. Have a wonderful day, y'all. See you later.